So we're building another deck from Magic the Gathering Foundations today, and it's none other than Kykar Zephyr Awakener. This is a fantastic deck that generates so much value. Yeah, if you're new to Magic and just starting off on your Commander journey, this could be a good starting point for building your first deck. But also, if you've been playing for a while and you want to start advancing your game knowledge and mechanic understanding, this could also be a good point for you because you can take this deck to quite a high level. So yeah, let's do this. As always, we start off with the commander. So Kykar Zephyr Awakener is 2 white and a blue for a legendary creature bird wizard, and they're a 3/4. They have flying. They also say whenever you cast a non-creature spell, choose one. You're going to choose one of these following effects: exile another target creature you control, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step, or create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. Now this is absolutely fantastic. So let's dive a little bit deeper. So why do I think Kykar is such amazing value? And well, it's down to that ability on how it triggers. Yeah, it triggers off non-creature spells. So you don't necessarily have to be playing flicker effects and bounce effects, things like that. You can just do what your game plan naturally is in Commander, which is in the early game ramp, set up some card advantage, and then boom, with the Commander out, we're going to be generating extra value on top of that. So it's just value on top of value on top of value. Yeah, we can then start to advance that board state and you start to use those flicker spells ourselves. So we can flicker something, then Kykar can flicker something. Maybe we don't want Kykar to flicker something, maybe we want Kykar to start building up a board presence. Yeah, it enables us to stabilize in so many parts of the game. Yeah, keeps us relevant, keeps us consistent, yeah, allows us to build a board state, allows us to generate value, all the things that I love to do. So yeah, I think this is absolutely fantastic. And once you get to a certain level of play, say you're new, you build up and you become more aware of how to use the stack and interactions and casting spells at instant speed to blink things to get them out the way of removal and board wipes and things like that. You know, you can really start to take this deck to the next level. So here we are running 26 creatures, 3 sorceries, 18 instants, 10 artifacts, 5 enchantments and 37 lands. Yeah, we are running we're running more non-creature spells than we are running creature spells, because obviously we use Kykar to generate creatures, but also in this deck we want to be aware at what stage of the game we're at, when is a good time to generate more value and when is a good time to generate more board state with those 1/1 flyers. So that is some game knowledge you're going to have to develop as you start playing more and more with this deck. But yeah, let's break this apart into some sections and start going through everything for you. So kicking things off with the card draw. Dappleport Mage, when a creature leaves the battlefield, yeah, it's going to let us draw a card. That's another creature leaves the battlefield, by the way. We've got Helpful Hunter, Spirited Companion, Wall of Omens, Aether Channeler. Yeah, when they all ETB, they all draw us a card. We've got Search for a Zencanter. When there are 7 or more cards in your graveyard, you transform this. It then has an ability for 3 mana. You look at the top 4 of your library, and then you can put a non-creature, non-land card from among them into your hand. That's exactly what Kykar wants us to cast. This is fantastic. It's also ramp because it gives us more mana because it's a land. What else have we got? Circuit Mender, ETBs, gains life, and when it LTBs, leaves the battlefield, we draw a card, more card draw. Cure of the Rising Tide, same again. ETBs, draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards. Always having the best 7 cards in hand is fine, we don't mind discarding because we get to draw first. Elite Guard Mage, Cloud Baser, pretty similar. ETB, gain life, draw cards. ETB, gain life, draw cards. And then we've got Mold Drifter, the classic blink target. ETBs, draw 2 cards. Yeah, and you can cast this for its evoke cost with that trigger on the stack. You then flicker it, it comes back into the battlefield again and gets around the evoke cost. This is what I mean about taking this deck to the next level when you understand the triggers, stack and knowledge like that. So working our way across, we have a couple of lords. We've got Intangible Virtue. This gives our creature tokens +1/+1 and they have vigilance, allowing us to be more aggressive, attack, and then they're still available for blockers on the defense. And then we're running the Imperial Eagle as well. So flying, other creatures you control with flying get +1/+1. As with our Aether Channeler, we're going to make birds. As with Kykar, we're going to make flying spirits. Yeah, so we're always going to have lots of flying stuff, which this is going to have an effect on. So our ramp package consists of Expedition Map, Soul Ring, Wayfarer's Bauble, Arcane Signet, Azorius Signet, Farewell Stone, both Pearl and Sapphire Medallion, Talisman of Progress, Thought Vessel, and Solemn Simulacrum. Yeah, Expedition Map is purely there to go and get our Mystic Sanctuary so we can get that instant sorcery back from our graveyard off the top of the library. Yeah, everything else is just your generic ramp stuff. Solemn Simulacrum is a great creature in this deck because you can just ETBs, gets basic land. If you want it to die, then you can net a card off it. But obviously if we keep blinking it, it's going to keep getting us lands every time it comes into the battlefield. Obviously it being an artifact creature, it means that somebody goes to combat, we can block before damage, we can flicker. Yeah, and then obviously the creature is still blocked, so as long as it doesn't have trample, you're not going to take any damage. Love that little synergy there. So yeah, nice little ramp package that you can proactively use with all of your Blink Flex, which we'll get to in a moment. Here we have our removal. So we're running Path and Swords because we're in white and we need to exile stuff. That's fantastic. Counter spells, we've got Counterspell, Lofty Denial, and Negate. Lofty Denial is just obviously always going to be controller place 4 because we're always going to have a creature with flying. Yeah, Disenchant to target artifacts and specifically enchantments. Reprieve to bounce those nasty spells straight back to our opponent's hands and netting us to draw a card. Plus obviously it'll trigger Kykar when we do any of the effects. Resculpt, another exile effect for artifacts and creatures. Generous Gift for any opponent on the battlefield, so even those pesky lands. Reflector Mage is just an absolutely fantastic one in here because we can constantly bounce it and get more and more value out of it. So when this enters the battlefield, we're going to return a creature an opponent controls to its owner's hand. They then can't cast creatures with the same name until your next turn. So you can really screw some people over with this and use it for politicking. And we've got Stroke of Midnight, once again, hits all non-land opponents and they make a 1/1 human creature token. Just before we jump onto the next section, I just wanted to say thank you very much for watching this far into the video. If you're enjoying yourself, hit that thumbs up. Yeah, if you want to leave a comment because you've got any questions about the cards and things like that, drop them down in the comments. I do my best to reply to those all. And yeah, if you want to see more content like this, I do stuff every week, so hit that subscribe button. Anyway, let's carry on, shall we? So on to the cool flicker blink effect type stuff. So we're running Ephemerate, Flicker of Flame, Momentary Blink, Blur, Displace, Flicker Wisp, Ghostly Flicker, Scroll Shift, Soul Herder, Felidar Guardian, Teleportation Circle, Fastest Deep Dwelling, and Rescue the Fall, which is the adventure side of Pegasus Guardian. So most of these are non-creature spells, which means that when we cast them to flicker one of our creatures on board, Kykar is going to trigger, allowing us to go ride or also flicker something else extra. Just remember, things like Ephemerate instantly flicker something in and out of the battlefield, while Kykar will flicker something to return on the beginning of the next end step. Yeah, we also have Teleportation Circle, Fastest Deep Dwelling that will flicker something at the end step. So yeah, just remember where you're at with all your triggers, so you don't bring stuff back too early, you don't bring stuff too late, and use the right effect at the right time to avoid either a instant speed removal spell or a board wipe. Yeah, so that's where we can start to get into the higher details. So here are some of the ETBs we're wanting to abuse when we're playing this deck. Charming Prince. Enters, we're going to scry 2, gain 3 life, or we're going to flicker something else. Sky Knight Squire just gets bigger every time we flicker something. Once it's got 3 counters, it gives itself evasion and flying, so that just synergizes even more with our deck. The left Sky Knight just detains opponents, so they can't attack, they can't block, and any activated abilities they have can't be activated, so that's absolutely fantastic. Our Chaomancer Mnemonic Wall allows us to get instant sorceries back from our graveyard to our hand. Genku Future Shaper allows us to make more and more tokens. We're mostly going to be choosing the 1/2 blue Merfolk creature tokens with flying. It also has the ability to pump all of our creatures, which is fantastic. We've obviously got Pegasus of the Guardian. At the beginning of our end step, if we flickered something, we're going to make some more creatures with flying. And then we have the lovely Agent of Treachery. It ETBs, you gain control of a target permanent. Yeah, any permanent. You gain control of target permanent when this ETBs. We then flicker this over and over and over again. Once we control 3 or more permanents that we don't own, we're going to draw 3 cards at the beginning of the next end step. This is a fantastic flicker spell, but also quite salt-inducing. It's good. So we're going to want to run some protection for our board state once we've generated it. So we're running Selfless Spirit and also Unbreakable Formation. Just remember, Unbreakable Formation can be used offensively if you cast it with Addendum, which is sorcery speed during your main phase, and not just defensively to give Instructable. So yeah, 2 fantastic cards there. So the sweepers that we're running in this deck are Split Up, Fell the Mighty, and Time Wipe. Split Up, obviously we're just going to choose tap to untap whichever is the most beneficial to us at that point in time. Yeah, Fell the Mighty, we are going to basically choose one of our 1/1 flyers and destroy everything with greater power than that. Yeah, so we get to keep all of our flying 1/1s and then everything else is dead. Time Wipe is fantastic as well because we're going to cast this and we're going to return a creature that we control to our own hand and then destroy all the rest. Yeah, we're going to return Kykar, which is then going to trigger because we've cast a non-creature spell, and that's going to flicker something else that comes back on the end step, allowing us to save 2 things around this board wipe. So if all the ETBs that we played with about earlier wasn't enough, we're also running Cathar's Crusade and Divine Visitation. So Cathar's Crusade, whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. We are going to be having a lot of creatures enter the battlefield under our control a lot of the time, so get those +1/+1 dice ready. Yeah, we're also running Divine Visitation. If 1 or more creature tokens would be created under your control, that many 4/4 White Angel creature tokens with Flying and Vigilance are created instead. So yeah, so all those 1/1 White Spirit creature tokens from Kykar are now 4/4 White Angel creature tokens with Flying and Vigilance instead. Pair that with Cathar's Crusade and they suddenly get very big, very quick. So in terms of lands, we are running 37 lands. We've got Agdar Race, the Azorius Chancery, we've got the castles, obviously we've got the classic Command Tower, Reliquary Tower, stuff like that. We're running the Perish Stream, the Temple, Sky Cloud. I'm running a lot of these cycle lands. I know we're going to be drawing a lot of cards with all of our flicker effects. So I wanted to make sure if we were flooding in our hand, we could cycle away all those extra bits and still have value from them. So yeah, we're going to be drawing cards still. Yeah, if you want to upgrade this mana base even further, you want to be looking at things like your shock lands, your surveil lands, you know, your battle bond lands, things like that. Mystic Sanctuary is absolutely fantastic include as well in this deck, allowing us to get an instant sorcery back from our graveyard to our library. But yeah, solid mana base, make it a lot stronger, fetches and all that type of crazy stuff if you want to go there. So here is the mana curve. Yeah, you can see we've got a few 1-drops and then mostly 2s, 3s, 4s, dropping down into the 5s, 6s, 7s. We can cast instant and sorcery spells at 1 mana, 2 mana, 3 mana, and 5 mana. Notice the 4 mana slot is where we're going to be casting our commander, so we don't want to be doing too much interaction at that point in time because we want to be consistently casting our commander at that point. And then once it dies, at least once, which it's probably going to do because the amount of value it's going to generate, we're then going to be recasting it at the 6 mana point in time. The average mana value of cards in our deck without lands is 2.87, which is not too bad. We're under that 3 marker, so once we get to 6 mana, we can double spell quite easily. We've got 56, 40% for white and blue, which we've covered easily. There's a little bit of colourless, but we don't need to worry about that one too much. And yeah, this is just an absolutely solid curve, nice and smooth, easy peasy. Love it. Here are a bunch of cards that you probably want to consider when you're building a deck like this. Skull Clamp, because obviously you can clamp all the 1/1s that you make. Yeah, and then draw more cards. Obviously, Skull Clamp is a non-creature spell, so if you've got Kykar out, you cast this, you make a 1/1, then you equip it, boom, 2 cards straight away. Violent Passive Enduring Curiosity, it just pushes you to be more proactive, more aggressive at the table and attacking, and then gives you the payoff by letting you draw more cards. We've got the doubling effects with Panharmonicon and Virtue of Knowledge, which just doubles all your triggers when you ETB on new creatures. We've got Siren Storm, Tamer, Flawless Maneuver, and Chroma's Will as forms of extra protection. We've got removal / protection with Durgan's Veto, and a fantastic removal spell which has just been reprinted in Foundation, which is Imprisoned in the Moon. We've got more Lord effects with favourable winds. We've also got Rally of the Wings, which is like a one-time Lord effect, but it also is a bit of a combat trick. Catch your opponents off guard. If you swing out, kill one person, they think they can kill you on the crackback. You cast this, untap everything, boom, you're safe. And if you want to go down a more spell slinging route, we've got Murmuring Mystic and Tyrant, which both make you flying tokens whenever you cast instants or sorcerers spells, which obviously trigger Kykar as well. So you're going to make a 1/1 plus what you're going to make from these. So yeah, just loads and loads of token value at that point. Next thing we probably want to consider is the combo section I've put down here. So Teferi Time Raveler, Displace the Kitten, we've got Peregrine Drake, Deadeye Navigator. These are all combos you can start to run in decks like this. I'll put links down in the description to the combos and how to do them and all that type of stuff. If you're running Displace the Kitten and Teferi Time Raveler, you probably want to start looking at your 0 mana artifacts if you want to take the deck to that level. Displace the Kitten could just be a solid card as well for the deck, because whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you're going to exile a non-land permanent you control and then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. Remember, that's not a creature, it's a non-land permanent, so you can start to tap your Sorin for 2 mana, flicker it, play it for 1, boom, easy peasy, start to generate mana. You see what I'm saying? Combos, eh? This deck just offers so much value, and I think it's one of those things that you start to realise at different levels of your game and your play experience. You can just simply cast creature, flicker it, draw a card, fantastic, yeah, whatever. But then when you start to realise that you're flickering things to scry to set up your next draw, you're then flickering things to save yourself from burn spells or losing the game by gaining life. You know, you're creating sustainability within the game so you can survive and stick around for longer. You're creating more and more resources, drawing more cards. You're then flickering things that are detaining your opponents, bouncing your opponent's stuff. So it gives you that level of interaction you need to stop your opponents from winning and doing nasty combos themselves. Never mind starting to like using your Archaeomancers, your non-mnemonic walls to get your flicker effects back from your graveyard to your hand, so you're never really losing any of that energy and you can just keep it going and going. Yeah, I think this deck is just absolutely fantastic. I've personally already started acquiring some of the pieces I need to build this deck in paper. So yeah, Kykar Zephyr Awakener I think is an absolutely fantastic deck, and I don't actually think it's going to be that popular. I think this one's going to sneak under the radar for a lot of people, so yeah, don't sleep on this deck because it'll do some work whenever you see it in play. And that's it. You've made it to the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching, people. If you've enjoyed yourself, consider dropping a comment, hitting that like button, subscribing if you want to see content like this every week. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye for now.